I don't see that happening. But anyway, letter number 11 comes from your buddy, Dave, Matthew Krill. If you remember, this is the gentleman that you read his letter from cover to cover on the last episode. He says, hey guys, I just want to thank you for taking the time to read and share my tribute letter to Eddie Van Halen. I know it was really long, and I really just wanted to share it with the two of you guys, but who knew Quiet Dave would read the whole thing. Love your podcast, and I'm ready for November's podcast. Since it's only October 30th, I'll wait. 5150, Matthew Krill. Well, Matthew, what you don't realize is you may have written a beautiful letter, and it was a lot of work, and you did a great job, and that is all to be commended. But what you don't realize is that something even more incredible happened, which is Dave's always wanting to shorten these letters, and that is his goal. However, for him to not only insist the whole thing be read, but to step up like the mensch that he is and pull it off, what you don't realize is you've witnessed an incredible triumph that was more impressive than when Quiet Dave picks up a check. That's an even rarer occurrence.
You know what? I'm going to have some whiskey. You let me know when you're done.
You have a little whiskey and celebrate your triumph. I think you and Matthew should go out and go bowling together. He did it with beautiful poise. He sounded like a syrupy Morgan Freeman as he dug into the narration of the Shawshank Redemption right there. It was beautiful.
You done?
Yeah.
Let me know when you're done. Okay.
I've never been so
Thank
impressed.
you for the compliment.
By a mailbag letter submitted by my friend Matthew Krill.
That was put into writing that tribute to Ed. I thought it was really nice and worth reading. So thank you again.
Yes. Okay, letter number 12 comes from a man by the name of Greg Chaffee from Anaheim, California. And he says, thanks for reading my letter on the last podcast regarding Jack Black. I guess my timing for sending in these mailbags couldn't be worse. I was at work and one of my employees walked up to me and told me that Ed had passed away. And I immediately got goosebumps because I had no idea what to say. I just walked into my office and sat in silence for quite some time. But he says Ed's legacy will continue to impact all of us for generations to come. In high school, my friends used to call each other by our dad's names, and I have no idea why. My dad was Bill, so when Big Bad Bill came out on Diver Down, you can believe I took crap, but I still get that shit at reunions. Luckily, my best friend's name is Jim, and Top Jimmy came out in 1984. Though it wasn't his dad's name, we still called him Top Jimmy. And he says, G from OC, Greg Chaffee from Anaheim, California. Well, I want to tell you, Greg, you'd be lucky to be called Big Bad Bill, that's for sure, because I had the worst fucking nickname in high school. Because of my last name, Criblez, which is spelled Criblez, they used to call me Crab Legs, which is hysterical. Because it's also, it doesn't make...
a lot of thought put into that.
A lot of thought put in that, which is funny because crab legs are kind of like long and thin, which neither one of my legs are, which is hysterical. And now you ready for this? So I get through that whole fucking nightmare. Then I go to my office, and guess what they call me in my office? Cribby.
Crab legs?
Crabby? Crabby. Crabby is you. Cribby. Cribby. That's what they call me in my office.
Cribby. You've got all sorts of nicknames.
Oh, my God. There's other ones I won't even say on the air, but the... No, but yeah, so yeah, I'm not crazy about either one of those, so I think you should stick with Big Bad Bill. What do you say to this gentleman, Mr. Chaffee, Dave?
Interestingly, my last name, I was known as Macaroni, so there always seems to be motif.
There you
go.
I
think that's awesome that he was such a big Van Halen fan that other people in his life were referencing Big Bad Bill and Top Jimmy and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
By the way, the Van Halen brothers have David Lee Roth to thank for having their father on Big Bad Bill.
Yes, indeed.
And for naming the band Van Halen, so let's,
Indeed.
Respect. So letter number 13 comes from Steve O. Now, the reason I say it like that is because when I was growing up, there was a wrestler in the WWF called Barry O. The guy would make an O with his hands above his head, which I always thought was funny.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
Barry.
Oh! And the guy would create an O with his arms above his head.
I do remember Barry.
Do you remember this? Do you remember Special Delivery Jones?
SD Jones. Did he ever win a match?
No, but let me tell you something. The funny thing about SD Jones, and I forget his first name. forget his first name.
Special.
No, obviously Special Delivery. I forget, but like he would come out, and do you remember his little thing that he would do? Everybody had a thing.
I don't remember
Okay,
his thing.
he used to do finger guns.
Okay.
Finger guns, like, Joe Biden does. So, like, this is finger guns. And he'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, Special Delivery Jones. And he'd come out. And the funny thing about Special Delivery Jones, and this is why I loved him so much, he came out onto that stage like he just got up off his couch in his living room. I mean, like, he wasn't cut. You know what I mean? Like, he was sort of just a big, like, hulking guy. You know what I mean? Like, he just got up like, it's time to go wrestling. So, So anyway,
time to lose.
Time to lose again. So pick where my paycheck at. So Steve-O from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He says, I'm a lifelong musician who is blessed with a great ear and a musical memory. I'd like to share what I think are a few interesting and mostly unknown tidbits about Eruption. Number one, did you know that the intro to Eruption was based on an intro of a song from 1970 called Let Me Swim by the hard rock band called Cactus? Both songs start off with drums going through 3 quick fill hits, followed by a nice A chord crash and the lead guitar breaking off into a short solo. Then the band plays 3 hits together on A, G, and finally landing on D crash, and the lead guitar continues to the D chord, and he goes on and on with that. So we're going to play right here the first 15 seconds of Let Me Swim by Cactus. Now here's the first 15 seconds of Eruption. Now, the solos are different, of course, he says, but Van Halen tuned down half a step and nearly to an A-flat, providing a slightly darker color to the music than the standard key of A in which Cactus was tuned. And he also said the musical passage and Eruption between 30 seconds and 34 seconds is from a solo classical violin piece called Etude No. 2 by Rodolphe Kreutner, written in 1796. Oh, my God. And here's a clip of that. And here's the clip of Eruption. And then he gets into stuff, Dave, I don't know what he's talking about here, but that's all we're giving to Steve-O! Because we have to shorten things for Dave. I think there's some samples that are, the intro is sort of similar in the way they approach it, but I don't think the music is the same. Do you, Dave?
The music is not, but the intro.
Yeah.
To Let Me Swim.
Yes, very similar.
Definitely lifted.
Right.
For Eruption. In fact, Van Halen covered Let Me Swim.
Oh, boy.
Back in the day, in the club days. And what's interesting is they chopped off the intro when they covered the song. And then when Ed would do his solo, that's when they would put it back in.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure they knew that they had lifted that intro for the solo.
Oh, boy.
That's not the only influence from Cactus that Van Halen has had, especially if you talk to the drummer of Cactus, who was
Carmine Appice. Carmine Appice.
Yeah, Carmine, right.
Yeah.
Carmine will tell you.
Yeah.
You talk to Carmine.
I'm going to talk to I have Carmine in my cell phone. I talk to Carmine often.
Dave, you want to get him going? Ask him that question.
Really?
Because it was that. What else was it? Okay, so they did, probably their best known song was a cover of Parchment Farm.
Okay.
Which definitely influenced songs like Hot for Teacher.
Oh, boy.
And all those boogie kind of songs.
Yeah.
And also, okay, I can't remember the songs right now, but there's a Cactus song where there's a solo in one of the songs, and it was also the intro to the solo in, I think it was Amsterdam.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Now, that one, they do sound alike, But really, I think it's one of those things where any guitarist who's doing an ascending scale on the guitar will be doing the same thing. So it does sound alike. It may be kind of a stretch. But the bottom line is there was no doubt at all, that Cactus was an influential band on Van Halen and on Ed. The guitarist's name he was the guitarist for, what was it? Oh, man. His last name was McCarty, and he was originally the guitarist for the Detroit Wheels.
Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels?
Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. McCarty, whose first name escapes me right now, he was the guitarist for that band. And if you listen to Cactus, they were really rough and raw. And you should go seek them out, listen to them. Great early 70s rock band. They were rocking. Definitely worth checking out.
Wow. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll see if Carmine will come on the podcast with us and talk about it.
Oh, my God. Dave, we totally could talk about Cactus and their influence on Van Halen.
Yeah. In addition to being an incredible drummer, he is a really super guy and also a wonderful storyteller. He's an interesting character. He's really cool. Yeah, I don't have to tell you, he played with King Cobra, one of my favorite bands from the late 80s, Blue Murder. Oh, my God, I love that band. And then also he was in, of course, Vanilla Fudge of all bands. His home base is Vanilla Fudge. Just a tremendous drummer and a tremendous...
And Rod Stewart.
Oh, we know, of course, Rod Stewart. Yeah,
he played Rod Stewart. He co-wrote Do You Think I'm Sexy?
That's right. Pays the bills.
So, he's played with everybody, that guy. So he must have stories.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Letter number 14 comes from Stephen Halmerek, and he says, Hi, Dave and Dave. Greetings from Sydney. It's hard to believe it's been a month since Ed's passing, and it still really hurts. I was reflecting on the discussion you had in your last podcast on various lists out there where Van Halen places. And it got me to thinking that about the best guitarists I've seen live since going to major concerts in the 80s. So here's my list in order of 20 best guitarists I've seen played live. Interested in your thoughts. Number 1, of course, is Van Halen. 2, Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. 3, Jimmy Page from Page and Plant, and obviously Led Zeppelin. Number 4, Ritchie Blackmore from Deep Purple. Number 5, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Number 6, Angus Young of AC/DC. Number 7, Slash from Guns N' Roses. Number 8, Brian May from Queen. Number 9, Carlos Santana from Santana. Number 10, Steve Vai of the David Lee Roth Solo Band. Number 11 is Joe Satriani. Number 12 is Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits. Number 13, Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac. Number 14, Snowy White, who is the guitarist for Roger Waters. Number 15, Joe Walsh of the Eagles. Number 16, Steve Lukather of Toto. Number 17, Kirk Hammett of Metallica. Number 18, Martin Barre of Jethro Tull. Number 19, Steve Morse of Deep Purple. And number 20, Peter Northcote, which is a local Australian player and session musician. And he says, cheers from down under, Steve Halmerek. Well, Steve, it's a solid list. My only exception is Snowy White. I think David Gilmour should be in that spot, but obviously these are people you saw live. I don't know if you saw David Gilmour live, but David Gilmour is one of my all-time favorite guitarists. Obviously not as prominent as Ed to me. Of course, I've been listening to a lot of Pink Floyd lately because I just did a story on Pink Floyd, and oh my God, is that guy amazing. So any questions or thoughts about his list, Dave?
Interesting list. Very interesting. And Snowy White, I think he played with Thin Lizzy, too.
Did he really?
He's the guitarist that... A lot of Thin Lizzy fans, they're like, yeah, he did. Next. You know, they weren't.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people have been through Thin Lizzy. He was not
a fan favorite in Thin Lizzy, let me put it
That's right. Absolutely. Number 15 comes from a guy by the name of Marcus Brixa. And he says, when I wrote you the first time a few months ago, you guys referred to me as Florida Marcus. So I'm running with it. It's been a crazy 2 weeks since we first heard of the passing of King Edward. And I'm still pretty taken back and sad, but my gratitude runs deep. I was blessed to have been there and a true fan since 1982. 100 years from now, they will still be speaking about Eddie's amazing talent. I was a young 12-year-old guitar nerd listening to Diver Down, which was a Christmas gift from my aunt. It changed my entire life. Eddie's been my biggest influence. And he also said that, he says, I'm glad you guys did the short tribute podcast after Eddie passed. I think it helped all of us fans mourn together. And he says that he lives in a hip town of Winter Haven, Florida, right in the middle of the state. And last Friday, we hosted an outdoor concert with the Van Halen tribute band, Completely Unchained. It was an amazing performance, and I give the guys much credit for bringing a top-shelf tribute show that really respected the band's classic era with excitement and class and badass style. They played great, sang great, looked great, and they